Hello my loves, how are you, how you doing? I wanted to make a video today that I've wanted to make for a little while. I feel like I keep prefacing a lot of these videos with this, but I think it's important to acknowledge that I am in the throes of a quest of self-discovery that is happening in real time, and actually I'm realising now that actually to share this in real time is something that's really, really important, because I think there is a lot of people sharing where they are now and not necessarily showing the process of going through a self-discovery quest. So with that being said, I would like to make a video today about nervous system regulation and just my experience with what that looks like, and some of the things that have started to happen in my life that's been really, really positive, purely because I've started tapping into my nervous system and to regulate it. So I first started looking into this probably the back end of last year, and I really wasn't fully sure like what it looked like or how I was supposed to do it. What I realised in this whole process of actually tapping into my nervous system and actually getting it to a space where it's actually regulated, or if it's dysregulated, to actually be aware of that fact that it is dysregulated and to then calm myself back down, that has taken a really long time, and purely because I wasn't actually even aware of just how much my body was like firing signals off at me. So I started off by realising when I was feeling upset or angry and what was essentially making those feelings come up for me. And the first big one was social media, and I will make a separate video about social media probably at some point when I have formed the thoughts to say around that. But what I can say with the utmost certainty is that I no longer sit on social media and consume content on there. Overconsumption of anything for me was a means of pacification to actually deal with what was fundamentally going on, which was that I felt dysregulated and that my nervous system was on fire. Like, you know that meme with the dog that's like, there's a fire behind them and they're like, this is fine? That was me. And I know purely that I was pacifying myself with all of these things because I was not ready to pull off the lid on what I was actually like pacifying myself from feeling and doing my shadow work. Actually, what's been really, really interesting is that coming off of social media was one of the quickest ways for me to actually get my nervous system back on track. I was dysregulated for probably about 2 weeks after I come off of social media, and it was gnarly, but I knew that like anything, it had to go and it had to stop. I now no longer have the anxiety of what's everybody else doing, booting up the social media apps and being bombarded instantly. But again, I don't want to go too much into social media right now because I do think that that needs its own video. Once I realised that I was actually in a state of like chronic activation in my nervous system, I realised that that actually wasn't a good space to be in. It's only through removing these things that have been keeping me very, very stressed and very, very anxious that I realised just how many other things and how activated my nervous system has been the whole time. Something that I have tapped into very, very recently is that I have a tendency to hold my breath. I'm like, and I will hold my breath whenever I feel anxious. It's even in like making these videos, which again is something that I think is really important, because in the doing of making these videos, I'm getting more comfortable speaking authentically and speaking at a pace that makes me feel calm, and that I feel like I'm not having to justify who I am. But what's been really great is that when I am on camera and I do find myself going, I stop and I start to tap into my nervous system and tap into when I'm feeling anxious. My light died and now I'm using my phone light and my notes are on my phone, so we're just going to raw dog it now. What the fuck was I saying? Essentially, your body is the best indicator if something is firing off. Like if you're feeling anxious, for me, my indicator is my chest starts aching and I feel like I can't breathe. Which is probably, you know, textbook for a lot of people. But it's actually in the sitting with yourself and learning how to tap into that on a deeper level. So, for example, you boot up social media, you see something on there and all of a sudden your chest is tight. It's coming away from that, closing the app down and sitting with yourself very, very gently. And first of all saying that you're safe, because you are. There's a little exercise you can do where you look for like 5 things you can see, 4 things you can smell, touch, taste, whatever. But if you sit here and you hand on your heart and you tell yourself that you're safe, and then with curiosity you can ask yourself, what's going on? Why am I feeling this way? What's just activated me? And it could be as simple as you've seen somebody at the gym and they've gone for a workout and you've not been to the gym in months and that's stressing you out. It could just be as simple as that as a surface level. Or if you have the capacity, it's actually peeling back that layer even more and going, why is that stressing me out that I haven't been to the gym in months? Is it because I'm worried that I'm not fit enough or I'm not doing enough exercise? What is it? What does that mean? And this is now something that I absolutely live by and will continue to learn to be better at, because in this like learning about myself and understanding like what it is that I want to do with my life and how I want to help people, I now am like desperately like wanting to fly ahead. And again, I did a video on language, so if you've seen that, you'll know that even by me just saying desperate creates like a scarcity mindset, and it's creating this like lack energy, which if you've done any like diving into the law of attraction, you'll know that coming from that kind of space and that kind of energy does not bring in what you desire. And what's funny is this morning I was like doing my journaling and having what I thought was a very relaxed morning, you know, and I was like journaling and I was meditating, and yet my whole chest was on fire. And I am acutely aware that I have a neurospicy brain and it's always on. So there's part of me that has to kind of slow that down. It was listening to my intuition in my body, and it said, go and have a bath. Because I was sitting there and my chest was like, and I was like, nothing's working, I feel stressed, me. And I was like, the little like intuition voice in my head, I just had this, go and have a bath. I was like, okay, I'll go and have another fucking bath then, shall I? And go and calm myself down. But I know deep down that actually being in water for me is something that's really, really beneficial. So, and I think I'm quite stubborn when I'm being told what to do. So I was like, no, I'll have a bath. But I did anyway. And I sat in the bath and I was like scribbling in my journal, like being like, I'm so fucked off. Like, I want to do this, but I don't know how. Blah. And then I was like, Molly hun, slow down. Slow the fuck down. So in my slowing down, I googled how to slow down a manifestation, because it's the resounding feedback is to slow down. I've made videos about it saying we need to slow down, and I say it in my videos because I'm hoping that by me declaring it to the universe, it beds it into my brain as well as you know, hopefully helping somebody else. And in doing that and saying, right, okay, I'm just gonna have a little look. The content creator I was watching, her name's Lavender, and she is one of the first content creators I started watching. And her video is the video I watched when I was learning how to read a birth chart in astrology. So it's a full circle moment watching her interviewing somebody about manifestation. So in the slowing down and watching Lavender's interview, she was interviewing someone I'd never heard of before. And it turns out she is the UK's leading manifestation coach. Her name's Emma Mumford. And I started watching this interview and hearing Emma's story. And then I started looking at her stuff and realised that she shares herself authentically, and a lot of what she is sharing, all of what she is sharing, is all stuff that I also align myself with. And it's in the slowing down for just like 15 minutes, I gained some perspective on self-expression. I gained inspiration from two people who are doing exactly what it is that they want to do and showcasing that energy online in a space where they have curated it beautifully. And whilst I was watching these videos, I was calm. I felt calm. When we are stressed and going at a pace, going really, really fast at things, we're releasing stress hormones and we're releasing cortisol into our body. And what cortisol does is, not only is it one of the nastiest things to have in excess in your body when it's unnecessary, but it also dehydrates you, and it takes all the blood flow and puts it into the parts of your body where it's perceiving danger and needs to keep you alive, thus taking away all of your creativity. Not a neuroscientist, so I am paraphrasing this massively, but I am a neuroscience enthusiast. So with that, to reduce stress for me is to slow down, and this is the lighthouse that's fucking showing me the danger. Is that a good analogy? For me, it's like a siren going off, and all the little like worker bees that live in my brain are like running around like blue ass flies, like bashing into each other and don't know what the fuck's going on. That's what it's going like when my nervous system feels activated. It's like, what do we do? Where do we go? Oh my god, what the fuck? Between hearing that information about how much cortisol can like basically wreck your creativity, and then also slowing down and watching some videos for like 20 minutes, I realised like it's bonkers, because just by slowing down I was immediately inspired by strong women. I then had a whole flood of things that I was like, oh my gosh, I want to make a video about this, I want to talk about this, I want to talk about this, and all of them came to me with such ease and flow. And then all of a sudden I wasn't like scrabbling for content ideas. I was like, I've just gone and got myself like 5 videos worth of content just for stopping for like 15 minutes and slowing down. And I just had to share that, because again, like, I'm doing this because I'm calling myself out here and we're doing this in real time. And I just think that it's one of the most biggest self-trust building exercises that you can do. And again, I talked about this in another video, but especially when we're living in a world that makes you feel like you have to have the answers for everything immediately. And especially when you know that you want to call in more, you want to do more, but there's this element that you have to rush. But even rushing for like 30 minutes versus me stopping for 15 has given me clarity. And I'm still forming this thought in real time, but I just think this is so important to say that, like, even if you just stop in for 15 minutes, like, truly surrender. I literally got in the bath and I just went, oh, I don't care. I'm just going to Google it and get someone else to figure it out for me. Which I know that there's something there around, like, going to Google for the answers, and I know that, like, I probably wasn't slowing down there when I Googled the answer, but but I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to stop and just watch these people have a conversation. I think it's in the hopes that, like, I will get to a stage where I don't rely on Googling things, because again, I needed almost an instant answer, but actually just stopping and not trying to form the answers there in real time and just going, do you know what, I'm going to go and do something I enjoy doing, which is watching people have a conversation about this topic. Then I came away from that feeling inspired, full of creative ideas, and actually then felt compelled to turn the camera on and make this video. So whilst, you know, I do think I need to work on resorting to Googling answers for things, I think there's a delicate balance there that I'm trying to navigate, again in real time, because there's being self-sufficient and then there's needing a little bit of support, and I think it's just knowing what support you actually need in that moment. But I'm trying to justify myself Googling the answer, but I feel like there's still some work to be done there, which is why I wanted to just kind of call it out. But anyway, I just wanted to share that because I thought that that was really important. And, you know, in just slowing down for 15 minutes, I've come away with a new video, other video ideas. I feel calm in my body. You know, that is the biggest thing, is that I feel calm. I'm just hoping that by me sharing this, that it will just give some inspiration, hopefully, to somebody else, or help somebody else who's maybe feeling a bit like, what the fuck do I do? And I can just say, hold your own hand here, we're holding our own hands, that it is a free fall to trust yourself and to trust the process. It really is a free fall. But if you can just even entertain the notion of it for maybe 15 minutes and see what that does for you, like, awesome. Even if 15 minutes feels like it's too long, try 2. Like, go and put the kettle on, and while the kettle's boiling, just try and let something go, or go and do something else. You know, go for a walk, go and look at some trees, pick up a book, read a book, go and play with a pet, go and hug a loved one. But just within that 2 minutes, just to, like, stop and slow for a second, bring your breathing back into your body, tell yourself you're safe. It's incredible what can happen if you do that. Thank you so much for being here. Let me know if this resonated for you down in the comments. As always, we are learning and growing in real time, and we love learning and growing. As always, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and have an amazing day. I'll see you soon. Bye.